We have some great running back starts this week. Week 10 running back start sit coming up next. Week 10 is here, and I hope that you guys are still in the running for the playoffs, or at least have a good chance at the playoffs at this point. Obviously, time is starting to get short, and every win counts, so we need to make sure that we try to maximize the points in our roster every single week moving forward. This week at the running back position, we got some great starts, and for the Denver Broncos, I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon versus the Philadelphia Eagles, 29th against the running back position. It's a great position for Melvin Gordon to continue doing what he's been doing these last 4 weeks. A guy that has a floor of 10.3 PPR points, but the last 3 weeks has been quite impressive. He continues to find the end zone. He has 4 touchdowns in that span. So a guy that is being highly utilized inside the red zone, including in the passing game. He's getting opportunities basically every week to get you those free, easy 6 points from getting into the end zone. So when we think about it, Melvin Gordon, a great start. I know Javonte Williams there, and I think he's a pretty damn good flex this week as well when you think about what Philadelphia does against the position. But Gordon has still continued to be the lead back in this offense. I know Williams ran for over 100 yards last week, but both of these backs were very good, made plays. Gordon continues to run hard. He's getting a lot of those hard rushes up the gut. Williams is making a lot of plays on the outside, so he's getting the outside. The line's doing a great job locking out the outside linebackers and the defensive ends, giving Williams the ability to get into the secondary and make plays. Gordon's doing a lot of the down and dirty work, and there's kind of a reason why his yards per carry don't look quite as sexy from week to week, but he is running really hard. The Denver Broncos appreciate it. He's not going anywhere, and he's going to continue to get lots of touches, lots of opportunities, and he's going to continue to be involved in the passing game. Is he getting 5-6 catches every week? No, but he's getting you 2 or 3 catches every week, and they're typically getting you at least another 15 to 30 yards in the passing game, and that is also including touchdowns as well. Like I said, he is being utilized in the passing game, down in the red zone, as well as on the ground, so he is one of their most explosive playmakers. He has a majority of the Broncos' touchdowns this season. So in reality, this is a guy that they are not going away from. It's a great matchup and a great week to start Melvin Gordon in your lineup. A put up or shut up week for Myles Gaskin. This I kind of think is kind of a funny put up or shut up. It's kind of hard at this point. I kind of honestly just want to keep slamming on Antonio Gibson and being like, here's another one for you. Try putting up in this one. It's a terrible matchup for Antonio Gibson. We'll get to that later. But right now we're talking about Myles Gaskin. And the reason why I put Myles Gaskin in this situation is because it is a great situation for him to put up good numbers. The problem with Myles Gaskin this season, not that he hasn't been good at times. He's an RB2. He's a top 18 running back in PPR formats right now. He's everything you basically... I wouldn't say everything you'd hope for, but he's definitely outkicking his draft coverage at this point. So he's been good in that respect. The problem is he's good and then he's not good, and then he's good and then he's not good, and then he's good and he's not good. And we're a little over halfway through the season, I guess. Once you got past the halfway mark of last week, we were past halfway point. And so we're halfway through the season, and we've seen this trend to continue for Myles Gaskin. He's good one week, he's bad another week, and it is literally all season long. He was good last week. What does that mean for this week, despite the fact he has a good matchup? Is he going to let you down again because that's what he's been doing after every good performance? I hope not. I actually hope that this is the time he finally breaks the trend, gets back on track. This guy had 26 touches last week. 26 touches. That is an elite number of touches. He didn't do a lot with it, but He still got you 15.7 PPR points because they are utilizing him in the passing game, 6 of those being receptions in the passing game. You know, he didn't run well last week, but neither did Salvon Ahmed. So it was a team effort of running poorly last week for the Miami Dolphins. It's not all on Myles Gaskin. He's finding ways to be good at times, and when maybe he shouldn't be. Last week, when you look at his efficiency numbers, he probably shouldn't have been good. But that's also kind of the nice thing about PPR, right? You can get some free points from just catching the balls. But he is in a great position this week. It's a great matchup. You know, Baltimore is 24th against running backs. That's a good position for Gaskin to succeed tonight on Thursday Night Football. I hope that this gets up before Thursday Night Football. It might not, but the fact is he's in a good position to be in a lineup, succeed, and put up good numbers. But the problem is he's never put up back-to-back weeks so far this season of good production for fantasy lineups. So there's a little trepidation when you're talking about a weird trend like that, because it is a weird trend. It's not like a quantifiable trend. It's not like the Miami Dolphins were like, he was good last week, let's make sure he sucks this week. You know, it's just kind of been weird happenstance. And part of that being, too, we have Jacoby Brissett back at the helm. And that's a problem for this entire Miami Dolphin offense. It just plain is, you know. You don't have to worry about Jacoby Brissett as a defense. You get a lockdown on the running game. And so it does make things harder for Myles Gaskin. So there is a path for Myles Gaskin to kind of suck this week. But the fact is he should be good. You should feel comfortable putting him in your lineup, but you really don't, right? So put up or shut up time. It should be a good week for him. It should be a good week to have him in your lineup, but just a little trepidation because of that very weird trend that he's had so far halfway through the season. Guy that's in a really good position to succeed would be Devin Singletary against the New York Jets. They're 32nd against the running back position. So basically, this is the free space for running back. So it sucks for Moss owners, right? Like, dude suffered a concussion last week. Looks right now that he is going pretty slow through the protocol. I don't expect him back this week, which when Zach Moss is not there, Devin Singletary tends to be pretty good. And then when you combine that with a team that is so terrible against the running back position, think about what Nyheim Heins did last week on, I think it was 11 touches. He just went off against this team. What Jonathan Taylor did against this team. Every running back seems to go off against the Jets. This week it gets to be Devin Singletary. Like I said, the free space for him. This is, like, to me, an easy one. They've conceded a rushing touchdown to running backs every single week since week 1. That is the only week that a running back hasn't found the end zone against the Jets. It just is inevitable. It's inevitable for running backs to find the end zone against the New York Jets. Devin Singletary, if Zach Moss is not there, should be the workhorse. So you do, as a Singletary manager, want to make sure that you keep an eye on the status of Moss. But my thinking as of right now, it's not like I am in Buffalo, you know, really taking the pulse of what's going on there. But in my opinion, Moss won't be there on Sunday. It's going to be the Devin Singletary show, and you're going to be excited to have him in your lineup finally. If you kept him around on your roster. Josh Jacobs is another guy that's in a really good position to succeed. Him and Kenyon Drake have honestly been pretty damn good since Gruden left this team, and they are finding, you know, more and more issues. You know, they had two first round picks from last year released within a week of each other. You know, we all know about the Henry Ruggs situation. So they're bringing in an aged wide receiver, you know, in Jackson, and I'm just, you know, doesn't really do much for me. We did see one big game from him this week, but, you know, playing that Ruggs role isn't that great. I just kind of really have seen a new commitment to the run. We've seen a more efficient Josh Jacobs the last couple weeks. And that's the most exciting thing. Maybe the touches have gone down a little bit because Kenyon Drake's involvement. And we kind of maybe expected that, right? With the signing of Kenyon Drake. Jesus. We thought that Kenyon Drake was going to be a factor in this offense. Turns out that he is a factor in this offense. And we just got to deal with that. But if they're going to be more efficient and they're going to use Josh Jacobs in the passing game the way that they have more this season, we're talking about a guy that has 3 or more catches in 4 of the 6 games he's played. So that is kind of something that we weren't expecting from Jacobs coming into this year. So it does raise his floor back up, despite the fact that he has a little bit less usage in the rushing game. And then you kind of mash that up with it's a rivalry game with Kansas City that has had issues with running back. Now, granted, they're pretty stingy in the red zone, but Josh Jacobs does have a real good talent of finding the end zone, finding a way to fall in there. He hasn't been doing it as much this season, but he is a big factor in this attack, and he does have a pretty nice matchup, and he has been better recently, and he is more involved in the passing game, and he is a solid running back too. Almost any week he plays, and that includes this week. It's a great week to have him in your lineup. Could he fall on his face? Sure, any of these players could fall on their face, but I think a great matchup against a rival in the Kansas City Chiefs, a defense that this year has been called trash by many pundits out there. So Josh Jacobs, a guy, feel free, feel comfortable to lock him in your lineup. Not your weak candidate. Well, let's just keep just fucking pounding on Antonio Gibson. Sorry, bro. Sorry. You're not your week. It's really not your year. A guy that I've had in a put up or shut up mode a couple different times. He's a guy that I felt like, it has been a sit multiple times, and you just look at his role in the season, how it's diminished as it's moved on. The last 3 weeks that he has played has not been good. It has been bad. It has been very bad. And then you think about the fact that it's a negative game script, which also indicates more involvement from J.D. McKissick. We've seen the involvement from Jarrett Patterson ramp up going into the bye. There is little hope with the fact that they're coming off a bye week. You got a little bit of rest. Maybe that shin's not going to bother him as much, but I just think this shin is going to be a problem all season long. And if it's going to be a problem all season long, they're going to manage his reps. He's not going to be the guy that gets 20, 22 touches. He's not going to get 18 touches. I think he's going to get lucky if he gets 15 touches in a game. I think they're going to cap him right around 12 to 15 touches every game. He hasn't been efficient running the ball. And, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel safe? Do you want to put him in your lineup? And the answer is probably no, because you're looking at what he's done, and he started out pretty good. But one, the season wears on any player, especially at that position. And 2, if you're playing that position with an injury, just flat out, you're going to be injured all season long. You're going to have to deal with the fact that this guy's efficiency probably is going to slowly decrease throughout the season because his body is just banged up. I'm not excited about Antonio Gibson. I don't want him in my lineup. I want him on the bench. I'm not ready to drop him yet. But the trust has been broken. The circle of trust is gone with Antonio Gibson. And this is not a good week when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a bye, and they're still the 10th defense against the running back position. So, half the league, or at least a third of the league right now, hasn't had a bye, and they're still 10th against the run. They are very good against the run, and if there's going to be a running back that has success this week, it's going to be J.D. McKissic, because the running backs we've seen succeed against Tampa Bay have typically succeeded in the passing game, and we've seen that Antonio Gibson doesn't have a fucking role in the passing game. So if he's not going to be efficient, his fucking touches are going to get decreased, and then he's not going to have a role in the passing game. Why the fuck is he in your lineup? Peace. On the bench. Enjoy the pine. Enjoy the pine. Guy to beware of this week. He has an opportunity to do well. He does. I'll be honest right there. There is upside with him still based on usage that he has had in the past, and that's Michael Carter. So we have Mike White starting for the Jets once again, and we saw those first couple weeks with Mike White, his willingness and want to get the ball to the running backs, but, in 11 pass attempts in week 9, one of them went to the running back position. It was definitely a more vertical passing game against the Indianapolis Colts, and that makes me wonder, is that going to be the same situation against the Buffalo Bills, the number 1 defense against the running back position? And so that right there is a big deterrent against against Carter, against Ty Johnson, when you're talking about a team in the Bills who have ceded more than 14.6 PPR points to running backs just twice this season. So they are very good against the running back position. And, we talk about how Michael Carter came back down to earth in week 9. He had a very, very, very poor performance after it was a lock him in, set him up, let's get him going type of week for him. He was, everybody like the stocker was going fucking crazy for Michael Carter going into week 9. It's calmed down quite a bit. I still think he's going to be good rest of season. It's going to be tough in a matchup against a division rival that is the best in the league against the run. And obviously that is the Buffalo Bills. So for me, Michael Carter, a guy that you can safely feel comfortable putting on the bench. Is there a path for him to have a good game? Yes. If Mike White is going to throw the ball to him 10, 12 times the way he was those first couple games that he was playing, then yes, there is definitely a path for Michael Carter to have a good week. And to me, if you're putting him in your lineup, it's a FOMO thing. You have a fear of missing out on all of those catches that Michael Carter might have. And I just remind you that Mike White, when he started the game against Indy last week, one of his 11 pass attempts went to a running back. So it's not a guarantee that he's going to get all the work that he had when Mike White first started playing quarterback for the New York Jets just a couple weeks ago. So beware. Michael Carter. Another guy to beware of is Nyheim Heins. This is a guy we all get crazy about. He goes off, dude. This guy goes the fuck off, right? It's just like explodes. Dude just explodes all over somebody's defense. It's fucking gross, man. It's a disaster. And last week that was the New York Jets. He had 11 touches and just all over the fucking goddamn Jets, said fuck you. Jonathan Taylor said fuck you. They ran all over the fucking Jets, right? So Nyheim Heins, all of a sudden you get excited. You're like, oh god, dude, I got to put that guy back in my lineup, right? He looks so good. Well, Nyheim Heins has been really fucking good 3 times this year, and he's needed double-digit touches to get there every single time. Nyheim Heins has had double-digit touches 3 times this year. You can do the math. Every time he gets double-digit touches, he goes off. The thing is, he's only had double-digit touches 3 times. He's never had double-digit touches in back-to-back games so far this season. So there's a lot to worry about when you talk about Nyheim Heins. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, you look at them, you're like, oh man, they suck, right? They're like the worst team in the NFL. They're going to have like the number 1 pick or something. Like they're going to be a top 5 team in the NFL draft because they just fucking suck. And they do, right? Like Jacksonville's not a good football team, but they're not good against the pass. They're competent against the run. Well, what's that mean? It means that teams don't run all over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have 0 touchdowns given up to running backs in their last 3 games. They're not a free space the way that you would look at the New York Jets. So there is a reason why Nyheim Heins went off last week. It was a free space for basically any running back that gets any sort of work against the New York Jets. All right? So Nyheim Heins, I don't expect to get the work that he got last week, that he's only got 3 times this season, and to be another Jonathan Taylor week. Nyheim Heins will come back down to earth, and if you stick him in your lineup, you're going to look at the end of the week and be like, god damn, he gave me single digits again. He gave me like 4.3 points again. What the fuck? Well, I mean, that's Nyheim Heins. He goes all over the fucking place, and then he comes back down to earth. So beware, Nyheim Heins heading into week 10 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any start-sit questions, you can hit me up on Sunday morning. I join Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor on the Fantasy Scramble on 1080 The Fan here in Portland, Oregon, and we can take your start-sit questions. All you have to do is text them in to 503-250-1080 on Sunday morning, and we take these questions a half hour up to kickoff, so 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. We answer them for that half hour. We get them out there. You can listen live on Odyssey.com. The link will be in the description below. I hope you join us on Sunday mornings as we try to help maximize everybody's lineups. Thank you again for watching, and make sure that you check out my Week 10 wide receiver start sits.